2,800 downhill. This is a super downhill marathon race. And before you start flaming me in the comments, I'm not doing this to qualify for any other marathon race. I mean, if I did, I would probably take that qualification. But I don't think I'm fast enough. What's up, YouTube? I am running a marathon in exactly 10 days. And today I'm going to go over my training, my plan. I actually ran this exact same marathon last year, so I'm going to look at my race from last year and see how I might change what I do this year and just get out some pre-race nerves. Right now, I'm gearing down into a taper. I'll talk a little bit about how that feels and just overall cover some pre-marathon strategy. Okay, so first off, who am I? My name is William. I'm your run-of-the-mill average runner. I'm not very fast. I started running around 4 years ago now, mainly as a way to lose weight. I was a beast for all my life, but during college was around when I started picking up running just for fitness, for fun. And now, in the last year, I think I've really gotten into competitive running, training for speed, and I've discovered the joy of getting faster. But overall, I am someone who, above all, really loves to run, and I'm so glad that I was able to find this sport. I think I'm going to start off actually by looking at the race from last year. As I said, I am doing the same marathon this year, the White Mountain Marathon 2025 that I did last year, White Mountain Marathon 2024. This is my 5th marathon, and it's great that I did the same marathon because now I have data, actual data for what I did 365 days ago. I'm going to take a look at my splits, my race times, and see how I might improve, sort of get into my head what the course is like again, and try to analyze that so that I can know when during this year to hold back, go fast, go slow, all that jazz. Now, the great thing about this marathon race is that it is, I think, net 2,800 downhill. This is a super downhill marathon race. And before you start flaming me in the comments, I'm not doing this to qualify for any other marathon race. I mean, if I did, I would probably take that qualification. But I don't think I'm fast enough for that. And so I'm just doing this for fun. I also like running downhill. It's nice when you feel fast. It's hard on the legs, but who doesn't like the idea of running down a mountain? So this race is run by Revel, a company who actually specializes in downhill marathon races. And they started this race last year. The White Mountain Marathon 2024 was its inaugural year. And this was a good experience. I think it was super well organized. Revel's experience in curating downhill marathons really showed. What I didn't like was the super early start time. I think the buses started leaving around 4 or 4:30, and that meant that we had to start driving to where the buses picked us up at 3:30. Means getting up at like 2:30. That was not great. But I do remember it being very fast and surprisingly fast for me, especially given sort of the paces that I was training at then. So let's take a look at the splits here. Okay, so miles 1 through 5 are just this super steep drop, maybe like 5% grade, which is, yeah, I remember that being very fast. And I think I should have taken it a little slower than I did last year. Yeah, I'm running at 6:22 pace for the first mile, which is just way out of what I should be doing. I think this year, the second mile was not indicative because I also took a bathroom break. So this was probably close to a 6:20 mile too. So these first 5 miles, I just did at like 6:45 pace, let's say, last year. And for this year, I think I'll comparatively tone that back. I am running faster paces this year in training. So I think I'm going to try to do this first 5 conservatively at 6:40. And then we get into a good stretch of downhill that's not as blaring and steep as the first 5. Okay, miles 6, 7, 8 here, roughly 7:20 pace. I think for this year, I want to hit that at 7s. And then miles 10 and 11 are that slight uphill. They had to put that in just because the course wouldn't be long enough without this section. Sort of an out and back lollipop. I'm going to keep this. My goal for this race is to never go below 8-minute pace. And honestly, 7:30 pace. So I'm going to just try to keep 7:30 here. It was slightly steep for a little bit, so I do have to keep that in mind. But if I'm doing the first part more conservatively than last year, then I think that'll be good. Okay, this is actually a good reminder. Miles 14 through 16 are not really downhill. They're sort of flat. And so with that in mind, I think it's good for me to really keep myself back here and not be worried that my pace is slowing down a little bit. I'll try to hit 7 flat. Mile 17 onward is just this beautiful, nice, gradual descent that you can barely feel, but that your legs can feel. That I think I'm going to try to really take advantage of. Mile 17 onward is whatever I want my marathon pace to be at that point. Here, I'll just sort of try to test my limit, push the envelope a bit. I don't know quite what I want to run at pace-wise, because I think that'll depend on how I feel at that point. But I know from mile 17 onward, especially given last year's experience, I'm going to go as hard as I can. Overall, this marathon I finished in 3 hours, 13 minutes, and I think 13 seconds last year. I remember feeling at the end that I had nothing left to give. So that was really an all-out effort, 7:24 pace. I don't want to make any big claims for this year. I had during training this goal of getting under 3, but now I just got over a sickness. I'm getting over that sickness. I hope to God that it's fully blown over in a week, or at least right before the marathon starts. Given that, and also the fact that my training paces have not actually been quite what they need to be, I think, for a sub-3 marathon. Let's just put it this way. I think realistically, I can hit maybe a 3:10, maybe a 3:07. I think I would feel okay and satisfied with myself if I hit 3:07. I think I would be happy with a sub-3 3:05. That would feel really good. And ultimately, my goals are, I guess I'll keep that stretch goal there of sub-3. That would be amazing. That would make me feel really cool, even with the huge asterisk that this is a net 2,800 downhill race. Yeah, it's certainly nothing like a regular course where you have hills to worry about, where you just don't have that assistance of gravity. But yeah, that's the marathon that I'm running, White Mountain Marathon 2025. If any of you in the comments are running and happen to stumble upon this video, give me a shout, let me know. Would love to meet up during the race or before the race. Would love to share more of my experience with anyone who wants to know about last year's race. Hope to see you there. And of course, I will be recapping the race when I finish it. Yeah, it really puts some responsibility on me not to zonk out, to crash and burn. Although I can't promise that won't happen because I have crashed and burned in marathons. But even if that happens, right, I'm here to document it. Okay, let's go over some of my training for this race. I will say that training for me has been haphazard. No other word for it. I'm not great with pushing myself in terms of speed and feeling gassed, which a lot of marathon training plans require you to do. I will say, compared to other training blocks I've had in the past, I have had in this block a good number of long runs in. I raced a 20-miler a couple of weeks ago. That's in its own video, has its own recap, and that was a really great experience. I've also done a couple of long runs besides that. Did a 21.5-mile run. That's one of the longest runs I've ever done. I'll go over some of my mileage. Have to use Garmin Connect because I do not pay for Strava right now. I tried a 1-month free membership subscription thing, but I feel like Garmin Connect does almost everything in terms of analytics that Strava does. Probably way more too, actually. I knew I was just gonna do generally marathons in the future, so my goal from last fall was to keep mileage high. I think I really started ramping up in December because I had this idea of just running 10 miles a day, really hitting 70-mile weeks, which I did for a good portion of time in December and January before the wheels sort of fell off and I couldn't sustain that anymore. But overall, this training block, I have had a lot of miles under my legs, averaging probably 60 miles a week, a lot less in the last couple of months, couple of weeks. But December, January, almost 300-mile months. We'll check the 4-week graphs. I'm hitting roughly 60, 40, 50 these last couple of weeks. But if we go back to January and February, I'm hitting 60, 70. Unfortunately, these mileage numbers are not quite indicative of running quality. Didn't do enough workouts as I should have, and that I will in the future, in the summer, when running gets more pleasant compared to the brutal New England cold. Summers are actually quite nice, so I'll be doing a lot of track work, thinking of jumping into Norwegian singles training. I definitely could have trained a lot smarter, but what's done is done, and now I'm in my taper. Taper-wise, I have these 2 weeks, 10 days actually, to go. I'm just gonna run a 40-mile week this week, and then the 7 days Next week, I will try to hit 25. Going to rest the legs, maybe do some more lifting, rock climbing, work on upper body strength that I've been maybe neglecting a little bit as the mileage has gotten higher. I am super excited overall. It's the start of my marathon season for 2025. Hope to call it a season because I hope there's going to be more in the future. And I will certainly see you again in my race recap. I'll let you know how I managed to stack up in my goals, how this race compared to last year's race, my advice for finishing a marathon, for those pre-race jitters the day of. And then after that, I'll try to get back into some challenges that I've been neglecting. With that said, peace. Thanks for watching.